Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
Welcome to our YouTube channel. Give it a subscription, give it a like, and John, people have been telling me hit the bell so you're alerted every time we get a new video up.
Also, down in the description, you can find our podcast. Haberman, that's him. Middlecoff, that's me. Subscribe to that as well.
John, this was recently announced by the Chicago Bears. We got a quarterback battle. Matt Nagy on April 3rd said that Mitchell Trubisky will go first in the huddle, but it's going to be equal with Nick Foles. There will be equal reps with similar players against similar players. It's going to be extremely competitive. This seems like it's pretty well set up for Nick Foles to be the Bears' opening day quarterback.
Very. It's been a interesting offseason. Right after the season ended, Pace and Nagy said that Mitchell Trubisky was their starter, and everyone freaked out. And I think you and myself and most people that follow this league very closely subscribe to the side of don't judge coaches and teams. What they say is irrelevant. Judge them by their actions. And once free agency kicked off, they were kind of rumored to be connected with every quarterback that was available in a situation that could be a backup slash competition. And as the Foles thing started taking off, before this was ever announced, when you make a play for a guy like Nick Foles that your quarterback coach won a Super Bowl with in Philly, that your head coach was a part of the team that drafted him with the Eagles, and then with the Chiefs, remember when they resurrected his career as Foles almost retired, it was kind of clear that like they didn't even need this to say this to me. It was like, yeah, Mitch's job is not safe. But once they admit it, they're like, yeah, this is legitimately open. I think they had to do it, guy, because you couldn't. They went 8-8 last year, and they were one of those 8-8 teams that felt more like a 3 or 4 win team. And I think internally they're thinking we were a couple shitty offensive series away from being a 10-win team. We still have one of the best defense in the league. We just need to get solid quarterback play. And whether that's this pushing Mitchell, guy, our good buddy Lorenzo Neal, former NFL
Should be a
fullback,
Hall of Famer.
100% has a great line. And he didn't coin this line; he stole it from many people. But I credit Lorenzo, and he says that pressure it does two things: it bursts
Yeah.
pipes, and it creates diamonds. Well, there is a chance. I think we all think just the conventional wisdom on social media. Mitch Trubisky, Mitchell as his mom likes to call him, sucks. There, listen, we once upon a time thought Alex Smith was going to be out of the league by like 2011, and from 11 to about his leg almost snapped off, he had the best years of his career. So sometimes young players, Mitchell's not 35 years old. He's only been in the league now 3 years. This might take him to another level, or it might go the other way. But I'm open to the possibility that his career's not just over.
We have anyone that watched our Saints 49ers rewatch of the 2019 Week 14 epic game knows that we have a category on the show called the Gettleman Award. And the Gettleman Award goes to somebody who passes the eye test, like Daniel Jones coming out of the huddle at the Senior Bowl, but maybe the stats don't show up for them. Do you know the last 2 years? I'm going to take you 2018 then 2019. Pick a year. Do you know Mitchell Trubisky's touchdown interceptions?
I would say if you combine the 2 years, what you would just guess would be like 24 touchdowns, 35 picks,
It's
and a ton of just holy shit, that was terrible
it's
throws.
41 touchdowns, 22 picks.
You agree? It
Now,
feels,
last year was 17 and 10, by the way.
but you agree it feels. I think last year is a good
He
example.
would
The
not win the
17 and
Gettleman.
10.
Yeah.
The 17 and 10. If you watched 5 or 6 Bears games last year, you would have guessed probably his touchdown to interception ratio was like 14 to 18. 14 touchdowns, 18
Right.
picks.
Yeah. I think what's unique here,
It does look bad,
it
though. You
looks,
agree?
yeah, it doesn't pass the Gettleman test. Um, you mentioned it, but Matt Nagy, John DeFilippo, like it's a coaching staff that didn't draft Mitchell Trubisky, that the GM did. But in the offseason, which we're in, when it became clear that Foles was going to leave Jacksonville, there were two places that made sense: Chicago and Indianapolis, because Frank Reich is there in Indianapolis and knows him from Philly. The fact that they went and got this guy, that he knows their offense, that he knows what they want, and they know that they can trust him when it's time to diamond making, sorry, crystal making something else.
I thought you were going with
Um,
drugs. Damn.
I just think he's been through so many his career is so unique. It's one of my favorites. I know it's one of your favorite careers. Just what it's been to this point. He's been through so much. I just don't see how he doesn't beat Mitchell Trubisky out. Now, to your point, does that mean that Mitchell Trubisky's career is done? No, of course not. And from Trubisky's standpoint, he's like, I'm still going to try and beat this guy out. But I've got to think Foles has every advantage here, John.
Guy, I don't judge 2019 really at all because I'll never forget week 1, 2019, Chiefs at Jags. Like most of us on the West Coast, get up, have a cup of Joe. I'm watching the game. He makes one of the throws, not just of the day, but of the year.
Of the year.
I mean, it's just that, what a dime. And don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure on that play is when he got hit.
I can quote you on that. That's what happened. He got hurt on this play.
He shatters his collarbone on a top 10 throw of the year. An absolute dime. He throws one of the most beautiful deep balls. Sometimes, like Flacco is one of those guys that if he was a baseball pitcher in Flacco's prime, threw like 96, 97 miles an hour, and he also had the deep ball. Like he was known as the guy that could throw it really far. Foles, it's weird because he doesn't, I wouldn't say he has like elite arm strength. His deep ball power, I mean, he can fling it 65, 70 yards, no problem. So when you just watch that ability, now I think it's consistency with Nick, as games go, but he's proven twice. Right, 2 years ago when Carson tears his ACL, or I guess it's 3 years ago now, leads him to the Super Bowl. And then the other previous year when Carson hurt his back, remember, and is out, and he wins the playoff game, and he just brought some stability. And I think the Eagles, if you put that Nick Foles, those 2 years of the team that were really good, really talented around him, have some parallels to this Bears team that just goes, God, their defense is really good. They got Allen Robinson. They got some running backs. They have offensive, creative coaches. They got like Cordell Patterson that can do some different shit. They got Tariq Cohen. They just got some unique little playmakers that, if you just got decent quarterback, Mitchell couldn't have been any worse than he was 17-10. So what if Foles is just like much more consistent and get them to like 25-12 with how good their defense is? Could the Bears just in a 7-team, where now that extra team makes the playoffs? If you go, God, we were 8-8 and our quarterback play was awesome when we had one of the worst offenses in the league. What if we're just incrementally better and that's 10 wins? Here's the thing. I told Nagy this when I saw him at the combine. Look at your division. The Lions are going through a lot of turmoil right now. How good they're going to be, ton of pressure on the coach. Who knows what happens during the draft with them, maybe do something crazy. The Packers, wouldn't you say, overachieved last year at 13-3? Yep. You think they'd come back to earth a little bit. And then the Minnesota Vikings, who I still think are solid, they have lost Everson Griffin. They got rid of Stephon Diggs. They're just some questions. They've just lost some talent. Xavier Rhodes, while he wasn't good, he is gone.
Right.
Trey Waynes, another guy on there, just gone. They just lost some core guys of their team. But I think the Diggs one for Minnesota, like, he's one of their best players, right, guy? I mean, he's just gone.
I think either way first of all, I agree with everything you just said. And it feels like I don't want to say it's a make it or break it year, but it is just a big year for the Bears, and I think that Foles is prepared to handle that pressure. The next question comes then, what if he does handle it, John? I was watching ESPN had a marathon of Peyton's places, and he went to Chicago to talk to the Bears guys. And I thought of Nick Foles when I watched this conversation.
Well, we've had many great quarterbacks.
Okay.
Sid Luckman.
I heard you said Luckman. I heard that part.
McMahon for a year. Yeah. Bob Avellini for like a week, I think. I remember that week. Good week.
I got it. That's impressive.
Had you heard of Bob Avellini before?
No, I haven't. Do you know my favorite part about the Midwest? It's just they take so much pride in eating as two guys that like to eat right here on this YouTube. It goes hand in hand with their just eat. We live in California. It's always like, oh, can we add a salad? Oh, can we add a smoothie? They're just like, fuck it. Give me some pizza. Give me some wings. give us multiple pitchers and keep it flowing, and let's talk some football.
It's a great point because I'm always the guy I find when we go out, when I go out with buddies, I am the only one. It's usually like, hey, let's go drink. And I'm like, cool, but I want to eat. And I'm always the only one that really wants to eat. Or if we're together, then we're both the ones that want to eat. But everyone always just wants to drink, which is fine, but I want some food with it. I don't want to do 5 p.m. Like when you meet up with people, it's like 7 o'clock. Like, hey, should we get some food? They're like, I ate before I came. Like, what are we doing this for? I could sit on my couch and drink. I want to eat.
I think anytime you start going east of like Denver, that mindset, food comes first. Well, that's why Philly, New York, the Chicagos, New Orleans, the South, like a lot of pride in food, guy. A lot of pride in food.
There.
I am too.
But you know what that video shows? It shows how low the bar is. Like, could Foles pull off what he did in Philly? And I'm not even saying win the Super Bowl in Chicago, but just pull off some version of becoming a hero in Chicago too. It wouldn't take much.
Let me give you the craziest hypothetical maybe you'll ever hear.
Okay.
If Nick Foles, the Philadelphia Eagles, what Super Bowl was that? 47, I think. In 47 years of the Super Bowl era, had never won a Super Bowl. He'd only been there twice. And him winning the Super Bowl was, I don't know if you noticed, was clearly a big deal for the city, and it got him a statue in front of the stadium. The Chicago Bears have won a Super Bowl. I mean, we hear about the 85 Bears till the cows come home, and it's an incredible Super Bowl, right?
Super
They're known
Bowl
as the best defense.
By the way.
That's what
the Eagles won.
Okay, Super Bowl 52.
Second to do the math of the
Are you sure though? It was 1970 was Super Bowl 1. That doesn't quite add up. I think it was Super Bowl 47.
Super Bowl 47 was Ravens Niners.
Are you sure? Maybe you're right. But
Super Bowl 1 was 1967.
Okay, so my timeline's a little off. So the Bears,
thank God the internet will exist.
They have won, the Super Bowl, but like you said, they don't get any credit for quarterback play. If this guy takes the Eagles to the Super Bowl, wins it, especially the way he did as a backup, then comes to the Bears, whether he started week 1 or not, but just works his way in there and leads them to a Super Bowl victory.
Yes.
He's got to win a victory.
Yes.
Does Nick Foles go to the Hall of Fame?
Yes. I mean, I don't know, but yes, he's in my. How could it would? Now you'd argue, like people argue over Eli, right? Eli won 2 and had a much better just body of work career, and people argue about whether Eli's a Hall of Famer or not.
I don't know. I don't think it'll be hard for Nick, even if he won the other one, to ever be viewed. Eli did it long. I'll give you one though. Like, let's just say he gets the Bears to the playoffs. Let's say he leads the Bears to the playoffs. Yeah. I think when we throw out a name like this, like Rich Gannon, who won an MVP, helped resurrect the Raiders, and had some really, really successful seasons, but his career was kind of short-lived when you see how long he was playing at a high level. You go, yeah, he won an MVP, and he was a better player in his peak, but if Foles took multiple teams to the playoffs, like he's going to kind of like fly by like Alex Smith. Has Nick Foles had a better career than Alex Smith? I mean, just he won a Super Bowl, he won playoff game, multiple playoff game. You just
made a shit ton of money.
Yeah, he's just going to be in this interesting category of like
category of one, John.
Well, I know, but like of just like Trent Greens and I don't think he could ever be Warner. Right? Warner won the 1, made it to 3, and won some MVPs. And Kurt Warner was an elite player when he was on. But you're right, Foles is just in a category of one of just one of those barbershop type conversations where it's going to be hard to find his parallel.
No doubt. All right. Tell us what you think about the video in the comments, and wait for our next video, or go watch what you haven't watched yet.